Have you ever looked around your home and felt like the walls are closing in? Not because the space is small, but because it's full of things that don't speak to you anymore. That stack of clothes you haven't worn in months, the gadgets collecting dust in a forgotten corner, that online order you made late at night, now lying unopened in its box. We don't just live in clutter, we live through it, emotionally, financially, even spiritually, and slowly, we begin to feel drained. But halfway across the world, there's a quiet revolution happening. In Japan, many people live with far less, yet they seem to have more of what truly matters: calm, control, clarity. They don't achieve this through grand gestures or massive lifestyle overhauls. It's the tiny daily habits, the seemingly invisible decisions they repeat over time. And those small habits, they don't just clean up their homes, they build their wealth, they buy back their time, and perhaps most importantly, they lead to a life that feels free. Today, I want to take you on a gentle journey into the mindset, the habits, and the minimalist spirit of Japan. Because maybe it's not more that we need. Maybe it's less, but done with intention. When we think of minimalism, we often imagine a tidy room, white walls, maybe a single vase on a wooden table. It's beautiful, peaceful. But in Japan, minimalism goes deeper than just visual simplicity. It's not just about how a space looks, it's about how life feels. At its core, Japanese minimalism is a quiet discipline. It's about keeping only what truly serves you, not just physically, but emotionally, mentally, even spiritually. Every object has a place, every decision has a purpose. You see, this lifestyle isn't born from fear of spending or a desire to deprive oneself. It's the opposite. It's about learning to choose wisely, to spend with intention instead of impulse. A minimalist doesn't ask, "Can I afford this?" They ask, "Do I need this? Will it add real value to my life?" And over time, these small decisions, the choice to walk instead of drive, to cook instead of order, to pause before buying, begin to compound. They create space, not just in your home, but in your mind. And in that space comes clarity. Clarity about who you are. Clarity about what matters. I once read a quote that stayed with me. Minimalism isn't about having less. It's about making room for more of what truly matters. And that's exactly what the Japanese do. They live not for excess, but for essence. Not to own more, but to feel lighter. Not to chase life, but to live it deeply, calmly, and with meaning. What would happen if you started making just one small choice today? To let go of something that no longer serves you. That's how change begins. There's a simple financial truth that most of us know, but few of us live by. Spend less than you earn. It sounds obvious, right? Almost too simple. And yet, it's the very thing that keeps millions of people from ever feeling truly secure. Here's what often happens. We get a raise, and suddenly, we deserve that new phone. A small bonus? Time to upgrade the car. We earn more, and so we spend more, until we're right back where we started, just with fancier problems. But in Japan, something different happens. Many people there embrace a mindset that's not rooted in deprivation, but in discipline. Even when income grows, they resist the temptation to inflate their lifestyle. Instead, they ask, what do I really need? What brings real value? This isn't about being frugal for the sake of it. It's about clarity, control, conscious choice. The Japanese understand that intentional spending isn't just good for your wallet, it's good for your soul. Because every time you choose not to buy something you don't need, you're saying yes to something bigger, to peace, to freedom, to financial space that gives you room to breathe. I remember hearing someone say, "We don't get rich by earning more. We get rich by needing less." And the more I think about it, the more true it feels. So, here's a question worth sitting with. If your income doubled tomorrow, what would actually change in your life? Would you use it to build freedom or to buy distractions? Before every purchase, the Japanese minimalist often pauses and asks a simple question. Do I really need this? Not can I afford it? Not is it on sale? But will this item truly add value to my life? It's such a small habit, yet so powerful. Because in a world that constantly whispers more, Choosing enough becomes a radical act of freedom. We live in a culture where spending is often emotional, not intentional. We buy to soothe, to reward, to escape. A rough day ends with a new pair of shoes. A few clicks later, a package arrives, and we feel better, for a moment. But debt quietly builds, closets fill, stress creeps in. The Japanese approach is different. It's slower, more mindful. They delay gratification. They reflect. They choose with care. Instead of falling into the trap of consumer debt, credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later, they aim to live within their means, and even below them. They also understand the quiet power of small savings. Even just setting aside a few dollars a day, done consistently, becomes meaningful over time. Why? Because of compound interest, that gentle force that turns small habits into significant change. Imagine this. Every unnecessary purchase you skip today becomes a little brick in your foundation of freedom. One less impulsive swipe, one more step toward peace. So before you buy something next time, pause. Ask yourself, is this purchase solving a real problem or just creating a new one down the line? That question might just save you, not only money, but space, time, and peace of mind. In a world where it's easy to get 5 shirts for the price of one, choosing just one, well-made, well-fitted, built to last, feels almost strange. But in Japan, that's not strange, it's wisdom. The minimalist philosophy doesn't tell you to stop buying. It invites you to buy better, to prioritize quality over quantity, to choose fewer things, but things that truly serve you. It may sound counterintuitive. Why spend more on a single item when you could buy several for less? But here's the truth. Low cost often means low quality, and low quality wears out, breaks, or disappoints, leading you right back to spending again. The cycle of cheap things is expensive, not just for your wallet, but for the planet, your space, and your peace of mind. Japanese minimalists think differently. They invest, not in trends, but in timelessness. A single well-crafted knife instead of a drawer full of dull ones. One reliable bag that lasts for years instead of cycling through a new one every season. Yes, the upfront cost may be higher, but the long-term value is deeper. Less replacement, less clutter, less regret. And more than that, it teaches you patience. It invites you to pause, to consider, to value craftsmanship, not just convenience. It helps create a home and a mindset that feels steady, intentional, and light. So next time you shop, ask yourself, is this just filling a moment of desire, or is it something I'll still value 5 years from now? If the answer is yes, maybe it's not an expense. Maybe it's an investment in a life that finally makes space for what matters most. For most of us, growing up meant learning this rule. Find a job, work hard, rely on your paycheck. But what happens when that paycheck stops? A layoff, a recession, a health emergency. Even the most stable job can vanish in a moment. And when there's only one stream feeding your life, the drought hits harder. In Japan, many people understand this quiet truth. One income is fragile, multiple streams create strength, and they don't wait until things go wrong to prepare. They diversify, not in loud or flashy ways, but through small, consistent efforts. A weekend craft sold online, freelance work in a skill they already have, a modest investment in stocks or real estate funds. Even tiny amounts, done regularly, become meaningful over time. It's not about hustling 24/7 or turning every hobby into a business. It's about having a backup, a buffer, a sense of agency. Because when you're not fully dependent on one employer or one check, something shifts. You make decisions with more clarity. You breathe easier. You stop living in fear of what if. Think about your own life. Is there something you already do, something you love or know well, that could become a quiet second stream? A few extra hours a week, a small start, that's all it takes. Financial freedom doesn't always come from making more. Sometimes it comes from having options. And in a world that moves too fast, too unpredictably, options are everything. There's something the Japanese understand, deeply, almost instinctively, that many of us forget. Money can be earned again. Time cannot. You can always work more, save more, even rebuild from zero. But one lost hour, it's gone forever. And that's why, in the heart of Japanese minimalism, you'll find not just clean surfaces, but quiet choices that protect time. Time to rest, time to be with family, time to simply exist without performing or producing. In the West, we often wear busyness like a badge of honor. Work late, hustle harder, stack achievements. But for what? A bigger paycheck. To buy more things that steal more of our time. Japanese culture leans the other way. They ask, what is enough? And when you find that answer, when you stop chasing more, you reclaim your hours. Minimalists in Japan don't just save money, they save moments. Moments to sip tea in silence, moments to walk instead of rush, moments to watch a child laugh or sit by a river with nothing on the agenda. They invest in experiences, not just expenses. A trip with loved ones, a new skill, a deep conversation. These things may not show up in your bank account, but they will fill your life in a way no object ever can. So, ask yourself honestly, are you trading too much of your life for things that don't give it back? Because real wealth isn't just financial, it's having the time to live your life on your terms. There's a quiet philosophy in Japanese culture, a single word that holds deep power, kaizen. It means continuous improvement, slow, steady progress made through small, consistent steps. It's not about grand transformations, it's about refining, gently, how we live, how we think, and yes, how we handle money. In Japan, this principle of kaizen isn't just for businesses or productivity hacks. It's a way of life, and when applied to personal finance, it becomes one of the most powerful tools for long-term stability. You don't need to overhaul your entire budget overnight. Instead, start small. Bring lunch from home 2 days a week. Cancel a subscription you rarely use. Resist that impulse purchase at checkout. Tiny steps, repeated consistently. That's kaizen. And those small acts of discipline, they begin to free up money. Money that can be saved, then, slowly, invested. And from that investment, real wealth begins to grow. It's not magic, it's math, it's mindset. When you learn to notice patterns, like buying out of boredom or ignoring discounts that add up, you start reclaiming control. Kaizen helps you sharpen your awareness, not out of guilt, but out of purpose, because improvement doesn't need to be fast to be effective. It just needs to be constant. So today, maybe it's not about making a huge financial decision. Maybe it's about one tiny shift, checking your spending once a week, tracking where your cash goes, or simply asking yourself, is there a gentler, smarter way to do this? That question, asked often, is how Kaizen begins, and with time, it's how wealth is quietly built. When we hear the phrase financial freedom, we often picture a big bank account, a dream home, maybe a life without alarms or deadlines. But what if I told you that financial freedom isn't about how much you have? It's about how much control you have over your life. In Japanese minimalism, freedom doesn't come from accumulating more. It comes from needing less, and from making every decision, every dollar reflect who you truly are. True freedom is this: being able to say no to a job that drains you, yes to time with your children, choosing experiences over appearances, living by your values, not society's expectations. It's not about cutting joy from your life. It's about cutting the noise, so you can hear what really matters. Every purchase is a decision, not just about money, but about meaning. So before you click buy now, ask yourself, does this make my life richer or just busier? Will it truly bring peace, or is it just filling a void? I've learned that freedom doesn't always feel exciting. Sometimes it feels quiet, like making coffee at home instead of rushing out, like walking away from a deal that doesn't align, like trusting yourself enough to say, I have enough, I am enough. Because at the end of the day, it's not really about wealth. It's about who you become when you're no longer ruled by money, but guided by clarity, purpose, and choice. And that is a freedom no number in a bank account can ever guarantee. Real wealth doesn't come from winning the lottery. It doesn't come from a once-in-a-lifetime investment or a dramatic career leap. It comes from the small choices we repeat every day. The quiet decisions, the gentle shifts, the mindful pauses. The Japanese minimalist lifestyle isn't about sacrifice. It's not about living in empty rooms or counting every penny. It's about freedom. The kind of freedom that comes when you stop letting money control your life and start letting your values lead the way. Bit by bit, step by step, saving instead of spending, pausing instead of reacting, investing not just in things, but in yourself. That's how change happens. Not overnight, but over time. So today, I want to leave you with a question only you can answer. Will you keep repeating the same patterns, or will you begin, right now, with one small decision to choose differently? Maybe it's skipping that impulse buy. Maybe it's reviewing your expenses. Or maybe it's just sitting in silence and asking yourself, what kind of life do I truly want to build? Because in the end, wealth isn't a number. It's a feeling, a calm, a sense of being in alignment with who you are and what matters most. Start there. Start small. But most importantly, start today. If this message spoke to you, maybe someone else needs to hear it too. Share it. Let's build a quieter, freer world, one small habit at a time.